My video for January the 22nd, 2020 is number 3343. The title is To the Globalists, Treason is an Agenda and not a crime. The fiasco in Richmond, Virginia should be a wake-up call for those still sleeping and those who fail to comprehend what the U.S. Declaration of Independence and the Bill of Rights were all about. Government-sponsored terrorism is treason. The globalists are actual criminals that steal, lie, and kill for profit and power. Are their actions that are seemingly accelerating problems indications that they realize their time is running out? Perhaps that is true, but how can we know for sure? Personally, I still look, as I have since childhood, for the promise of heaven on earth to be fulfilled. I keep praying for God to stop delaying that fulfillment. I know I'm not the only one who feels frustrated as things just seem to drag on and only getting worse, not better. As I have said repeatedly, the dark agenda is fraud against which there is no statute of limitations. But who is strong enough to bring justice to these demons and their human co-conspirators? Will humanity be empowered at last? Will we be able to rise up against these charlatans? What's happening in Virginia is, for me at least, a sign that people are waking up as the governor of that state seems committed to taking guns away from people in violation of the U.S. Constitution and his oath of office. As I've been saying, we certainly do live in interesting times. And again, some say that may you live in interesting times is a curse, not a blessing. Everything seems to be exploding as the governor of Virginia seems to be issuing a mandate with his Democratic Congress in the state, threatening to take guns away from the citizens of that state. Now, fortunately, many of the sheriffs, I forget how many counties, but a lot of the county sheriffs have said, we will not enforce this in our counties. Because again, it's a violation of the sheriff's oath of office to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States, which includes the right of the citizens to keep and bear arms for their own protection, as well as for hunting and other things. Now, I'm sure if you were to break down the demographics of Virginia counties, it's the rural counties or the more rural counties that are standing up to the governor and saying, you're commanding an unlawful act that is disarming the people in our counties. We won't follow that. So the threat has been, now I don't know if it's what's going to happen, that they're going to be bringing in a militia from, or troops anyway, from even out of the country and giving them commands. I don't know how this is going to play out and unfold. I don't know how lots of things are going to play out and unfold. We certainly live at a time when we're able to see the result of so much information and disinformation that is everywhere. We don't get a lot of the disinformation, or labeled as disinformation, on mainstream media. They present it as, generally speaking, as the truth. Well, it's not the truth. It's lies. Is there a little bit of truth mixed in? There has to always be. Again, the deception is not that everything that is said is a lie. The deception is they put the truth in there, but it's camouflaged, it's obscured so that people don't see the meat of the matter, as it were. They see all of the propaganda build up around that, and that's what reveals the issues. This guy from New York, this that's putting all this money in, and I guess going to run for office himself. I mean, that's insanity. I mean, when are we going to recognize, folks around the world, not just in the United States, that the world has been run by very dark entities for a long time, but they pretend to be good. They wear suits and ties in our generation, but in the past they've worn crowns and other marks that separate them from everybody else, and they present themselves as being above the law. We are the ones that make the law, but we certainly don't obey it. And this has been going on and on and on for a long time. Thankfully, their spying mechanism, the internet, is not only backfiring to some extent, it's actually helping people wake up and get to be beyond the masquerade of the charlatans and see the deception that is so rampant in our world. Again, in everything. They have brainwashed Christians, which is what got Donald Trump elected, perhaps. They have brainwashed Christians to think that that Israel becoming a nation was somehow fulfillment of biblical prophecy. So that I have personal friends who are Christians that I've known for a long, long time that still support Israel as a nation and see it as fulfillment, because that's what their ministers are telling them. That's what the clergy is assigned to do. The clergy are, not all of them, but some of them are part of the problem. Again, not all politicians are bad. Some of them are actually trying to do good and have been over the course of time. There's always been people that were outstanding and did not go along with the agenda of the, again, dark forces or criminal element that always manages to rise to the top. It's not like the cream rising to the top, it's the scum that rises to the top. And we've got to wake up, folks. And more importantly, for me anyway, our Creator has to awaken within us so that we can be empowered enough to not fear. I wish I was empowered enough to not fear, but my personal experience has taken the fight out of me, other than making videos. I mean, I tried to take a stand in previous time in my life against the corporate control grid, and I was forced to comply. Not because I wanted to comply, not because I believed what they were doing was right. I never did believe what they were doing is right, but they use force. And we cannot just simply use force when we are not empowered. And so many of the spiritual community has been disempowered by believing that somehow if they ignore the problem, it's going to go away. That's simply not reality. It's simply another smokescreen, another diversion from the truth that we have to be here now and address the issues that we face now, not put our heads in the sand and hide and pretend it's not there. No, we have to address the issues. This is a major thing for me, and it should be a major thing, in my opinion, for all humans to finally come to our senses, see what's happening, and take responsibility, at least by doing what we can do within the limitations under which we have to work. Thank you, folks, for listening, and namaste.